Hello, welcome back to my channel. This is Bluefin Design and I'm Nikhil, and we will continue our UX case study on language translation in this video. So I know in the previous video we talked about the user research and different methods where how you can perform user research. So if you haven't watched that yet, I recommend you watch that first and then come to this one, because in this video we're going to be looking into one method for user research, which is competitive analysis. So what we will cover in this video is what is competitive analysis, what are the benefits of doing that, when you should be doing it, and how to do competitive analysis, and what are some of the limitations that we should keep in mind. So let's get started. So what is competitive analysis? It's one of many UX research methods that we can use to understand users and how they would use the products. It helps tremendously in understanding how your competition captures the market and your potential customers and how they keep them engaged. I think the second part and understanding the second part of how they keep them engaged is more important when doing competitive analysis. What are some of the benefits of competitive analysis? You would be able to assess where your product stands in the market. You can then define any gaps, if there are any, in the market with competitive analysis, and you can understand the strengths and the weaknesses of your competition. I think that's a good um, thing to know and understand what your competition really does. What are the advantages and disadvantages of using your product? You can also understand, and I think that feedback may help improve the product, hopefully. It can help solve some of the usability issues, and it also helps developing the go-to-market strategy, because if you know what your competition is doing, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, and if you are able to understand the gaps in the market, I think this information can help you build the go-to-market strategy. If there's a gap that your product fills, then I think that's a pretty good indicator that it's going to do well. When you should be doing competitive analysis, I think this should be one of the earliest research methods that we should be doing in the UX design process. The reason being, it helps in finding out whether there is a gap in the market, whether your product will be used potentially. We should begin working on this method of your UX research before even working on the product. So if you have any difficulty working on a product, or if you don't have a product idea yet, I think starting with competitive analysis and trying to figure out the gaps in the market, in different markets, may help determine what product you want to pursue. And I think we should be continuing to perform competitive analysis during the course of the project, because a new competition may emerge anytime throughout the project. How you should be doing competitive analysis? I think we can break this down into two steps. First thing would be, if you have a product or if you have an idea, what are some of the direct competitors? So what I mean by direct competitors, any competition that actually offers the same product or same service in your industry can be considered as direct competition. So as an example, in the mobile phone market, I can say that Apple and Samsung are direct competitors of each other, because they sell and they have products that are in the similar categories, and that's how you can determine the direct competition. What about indirect competition? So any competition that operates in the general industry that your product is being offered in, that can be counted as indirect competition. Although they may not be providing the same, like similar products or services, but if they operate in the similar industry, then they can be considered as an indirect competition. As an example, I think you can consider Google and Facebook as indirect competition. And I think the context here is that although they can be considered as advertising companies, the products that they offer for advertisement are completely different, or at least somewhat different. So they can be considered in some ways indirect competition. How you should be doing competitive analysis is by identifying the following information. Find out the information about the competition, like the company itself, what are the strengths, what are the weaknesses, what pricing model they offer, if there is any social media presence, what is the onboarding presence or onboarding experience of their product or a service, and how much market share they capture. Out of all these items, I think having or understanding the market share and the pricing model, we can understand a lot about competition. What are some of the limitations that you should be thinking about when doing competitive analysis? One of the most important one is complacency. Getting carried away a lot in while doing competitive analysis leads to complacency. Like having this thought that as long as we are better than the competition, we don't need to improve. I think this does more harm than good. So there are certain limitations to how far we should go with competitive analysis. The other one to think about is limiting innovation. Getting caught up in the comparing products the competition is offering, hinders our thinking about innovation and offering better products for our customers, the market share that we already have. And limiting the innovation is, I think, one limitation of competitive analysis. If we do competitive analysis too much, it may lead to a part of this rabbit hole of finding out interesting information about the competition without any actionable insights. So as I mentioned earlier in this slide, that identifying these pieces of information, like the company information, the strengths and weaknesses, the pricing model, the market share, and having set criteria as to the goals of competitive analysis helps in limiting the amount of time and effort and resources spent while doing competitive analysis. So since we are working on the UX case study of language translation, I think I had done some research earlier about the companies that are in this industry, and I thought about my indirect competition. So my product, I have certain idea as like the problem statement, which I had shared in one of the earlier videos of this series. So the companies that offer language translation services by providing linguists or experts that do interpreting or translations, like in-person translations, I think those companies, I have identified them as my indirect competition. So my product is going to be offered as a technology product rather than as a human resource product. And so companies that provide translators are actually my indirect competition. So what are some of the direct competition? Well, let's check out. I found the list of my indirect competition, which is the top 100 language service providers from this website. As always, I'll leave all my links for research down in the description, so you can check those out as well. So I took the top 5 companies from here, which are actually ranked as per the revenue in US dollars. But these are considered to be my indirect competition. My direct competition, I would say that for my project that I'm working on, would be companies that offer language translation through the technology space, which is, I think, the biggest players in this market are Google and Microsoft. So Google offers their technology as language translation, more popularly known as Google Translate. They have the app, they have the website, and they offer their services. So let's look at what they offer. So Google Translate has been for a long time. They offer many languages and support so many languages. but there are some limitations even there as well. So both Google and Microsoft, by the way, Microsoft's language translation product is known as Microsoft Translator. So the key difference between Google's product and Microsoft's product is that Google's product is really advantageous when you are translating for yourself, let's say from a website or a video or an audio or an image. But Microsoft's advantage with their translation product is when they connect people. So they offer their technology as a service where multiple people, more than one people, can join the call in their respective languages. So although Google and Microsoft both offer so many languages, they fully support only a handful of them. So that's the one limitation that they have. Obviously, the strengths that they have are their products are really, really good. The translation services between the languages, although it's really difficult to translate languages because there are a lot of considerations within this space, like, for example, the context, the cultural ontologies that need to be taken care of are really complex, and then where different accents are also need to be taken care of. So there are certain challenges as well, and I think Google and Microsoft do a really good job of translating. The next website over here, you can see that Google actually lets you translate real-time video. Microsoft is good for making conversations easier. So Google offers their services, the translation services, in different features. For example, when you can type your text in the browser or on the mobile application, or you can actually scribble or handwrite the words on the touch screen, and it recognizes the handwritten text and then translates it for you. You can also talk into your phone's microphone. You can take a picture. You can actually upload your you can just point your camera to some text and then it can translate it for you. In some languages, it also offers offline translations. So that's really a good advantage as well. Microsoft's translator, it also offers the text translation, speech translation, photo translation. Some languages, it also offers the offline translation, just like Google. But where it differentiates from Google is making conversation mode. So the other person and you can talk into your microphone and then it gets translated in real life. So this is what the different features are for Google's and Microsoft's translators, their strengths and the weaknesses. Let's look at some of their pricing model. So let me scroll down. So the pricing model for Google is that it offers translation for free for personal use. So if you or I were to go onto their website or their app and translate and use their services, it's free for us to use. But Google also provides the API for businesses to actually use their services in different businesses. So for example, if some website needs to be translated for a business, Google also provides their API, and that's where they make their money. So Google is free for personal use, but then they offer pricing models and different pricing models for their APIs for businesses. And I think even Microsoft has a similar pricing model wherein for personal use, you and I can use their services for free. I can hop onto the Microsoft's translation website and have a conversation with somebody in their own respective languages if it's for a personal use. But then they also provide APIs and other services, for example, integrations into different applications like Microsoft Office via different plugins and add-ins. And that's where they charge businesses or make their money. So the pricing model for these two companies is a bit similar. And that's helpful for me because I can now understand or actually decide my pricing strategy for my product as well. So while doing competitive analysis, I think we looked at some key metrics like the company information. We all know Google and Microsoft and what they do, the strengths and the weaknesses of the product that we are actually comparing, their pricing model, And the market share for Google and Microsoft, I think I've already covered in my product research video. So you can check that out. I will leave a link down in the description to the entire playlist as well. So that's all for this video. I hope you liked the content that I'm sharing and the research methods that you can cover. If you think I missed anything, please let me know down in the comments. I'd be happy to hear from you and what you think. Also, if you like this video, do hit the like button and show some love. It really motivates me to make more content for you. If you think this video or this content might be helpful for somebody in your network, feel free to share as well. If you honestly like this video, consider subscribing to my channel. The amount of motivation it gives me that more people actually benefit from my videos, and these videos are helping somebody. I think that's the main goal of my videos here. So thank you so much for watching.